Hi guys, welcome to another video. I am in the deep snow of the Arctic. That's what it feels like anyway. So we are currently in snow. I've got about 11.5 hours of this shift and it's meant to be about -6 tonight. So I've got extra blankets, a lot. I was asked by someone on my previous video if I can do a video on how much it costs to get into dog handling. Now I know I've got my becoming a dog handler where I explain like the processes and that, but I didn't really say about prices and things like that. So in this video that's what that's going to be about, and I'll let you know how much I kind of paid, and then like I say, it's not the cheapest thing to get into, but once you're into it you can make it as expensive and as cheap as you want. I went down the route of getting the more expensive stuff just because I wanted to get good stuff at the start, and at the time I could afford to. There's certain stuff that I didn't, because I didn't feel it warranted the money, or because of other things I couldn't pay for it. And I've split it up into 3 sections. So the first section is going to be your qualifications and your certification. The second section will be what I've had to pay out for the dog, and then the third section is going to be what I've paid out on like myself and some accessories and things like that that I've needed as well. My question for this video is, how often do you have to reapply for your SIA license? Is it every 2 years, every 3 years, or every 5 years? Let me know down in the comments below what you think it is. So as I said in my becoming a dog handler video, the first thing that you need in this is an SIA license. So that is your security guarding license for you to become a security guard. It's a 4-day course. It's 3 days of classroom work, which now you can do on Zoom, which I found very helpful. And then on the 4th day you have a couple of hours to do a test, and that will be whether you fail or you pass. Now I use Get Licensed to do that. That was recommended to me by the company I work for now, Prestige, and I did find it very helpful, and they was very good at it. And there's 2 different prices for that course. So you can do a course that's £190, which is the 3 days and the test, or you can pay for the same course, exactly the same thing, for £230. The only difference is the £230 gives you unlimited retakes until you pass. I would say that people that are in the security industry, you should be able to pass. I paid £230 because for the extra £40 I didn't feel it was worth the risk. I was told that no one really fails it that's clued up on kind of security or has an idea. But I thought for £40 I didn't want to take the risk of it. Like I say, I couldn't really afford, or I didn't really want to afford a second £190 just for me failing a test. So my advice would be, for the extra £40, get the unlimited retakes. If you feel like you know a lot about the security industry or you've done it before, then £190 is a good way to go. So once you've passed your course and you've paid your £230 and you've passed that course, you then have to apply for your SIA license itself. Now you do that through the SIA website. You'll get sort of a certificate, or you'll get a code from Get Licensed for you to activate your account, and then you basically program your details in and it'll flag up that you are certified. And you have to pay £190 for that license. And I had to go to a post office where they take your photo there and then the post office, you go there with your filled out paperwork, they send it off, and then roughly 2 to 4 weeks I think it is that you get your actual SIA license. And once you've got your SIA license, so you've paid your £230 and your £190, you can then start your NASDO. So the reason that you need the SIA license is to start the bite stuff. Obviously things like obedience and things like that you can do off your own back. But you need the SIA license to start doing the actual security dog training. So when you sign up for NASDO, there's an £85 registration fee that you have to pay. I've done this all through my trainer, so it's £85 for registration fee. Then I had a trainer fee of £315. So that is for your trainer, all of the outside work that he has to do. So obviously he enrolls you, he does all your paperwork. I get a booklet that I can keep all my documents in. And that kind of just pays for all of his time that it's going to take him outside the training in order to enrol you and take you through this course. Now my sessions were £40 per session, and you have to do a minimum of 60 hours, which is 12 sessions. So each session is 5 hours, and obviously over 12 sessions you get your minimum of 60. Now it doesn't mean that on 60 hours you're going to automatically go straight in for your theory test and for your dog to be tested, because at the end of the day you could go into that and you could both fail. So it's a case of when you're ready, you've got 6 months to do it, so that when you're ready you then go in for your test. So saying that 60 hours, that's the minimum you'll have to do, minimum. So because I brought my dog from pet to protection, I had 21 sessions, so 105 hours before I took my test. So that came out of me for £840. It seems like a lot, but I think that the time that you spend there and the time you spend with other trainers, I think it's valuable for you to realise if you want to do it or not. And I took every session as a chance to learn something off someone else, whether it's stories, whether it's experiences, and just trying to pick up on other things. So it's not so much that you spend all your time training the dog, you also need to train yourself as well. And I would say that you don't really learn that in 12 sessions. I think it takes you probably 3 or 4 sessions to get comfortable with what's going on, and then so 8 or 9 sessions to really learn a lot and learn off other people. I don't think it's enough. I'm quite happy with the 21 sessions that I paid. I don't think I would have been ready. I mean, the dog definitely would have been ready, but I don't think I personally would have been ready to do it through 12 sessions. So that's the first section of licensing. So that's obviously the SIA and the NASDU. That ended up costing me £1,660. Now that seems like quite a lot, but it's kind of, I obviously took mine a little bit, my training took a little bit longer, which is why my training fees of £840 is quite high compared to if you only had 12 sessions at £40. And you can't get away with not doing the SIA, so that's something that you have to. Now I have seen that there are programs where you can do like intensive courses. I saw a course that I looked at the other day, and it's a 6-month course, which is obviously the length that you can do on your NASDU. Basically you enroll into that, and I think they was asking for registration fee and trainer fees for about £500. Now mine was £400, they were asking for £500. And their daily sessions, I think they was looking at £120 for a whole day and £60 for a half day. And that you can have your own dog and go through the course, or you can use one of their dogs. Now not a massive fan, I don't think, of having one of their dogs, because A, the dog's already trained, so you can maybe get a bit of false hope on how good you are as a handler if you've got a dog that's already trained. Right, so the dog, I'm not going to give out how much I paid for my dog. So I bought my dog as a pet, but that's not to say that rescue dogs can do this work. Yeah, I think if you get them young enough, remember my dog was a pet for 14 months before I started this, and kind of within sort of 6 months I managed to turn him into a protection dog. So it's not as if that if you don't get a dog, if you don't start it from puppy, you can't do it. So if you could get a rescue dog that's maybe 6 months old, and you can start the initial kind of drive and things like that, and there's no reason you couldn't go down the rescue dog route in order to get your dog. What I've also found is that a lot of people have said about the working dog background, so people buying dogs from working dog litters. And I think if I got to do it again, not that I would ever give my dog up, but I think if I got to do it again, that would be the route that I went down. So you get a dog that's already got the working side in him already, and then it's just a case of you bringing it on. So stuff that I brought for the dog. So I had to buy a cage for the car. This was a difficult one because I could have got a cage that fitted my car perfectly, and it would have been probably what the trainers would have wanted. But at the time I didn't have the £500-600 in order to get it, so I got myself just a £40 cage from Pets at Home. It does the job, it keeps him safe, and it will stop you from getting in trouble for not having your dog in a cage. So there's different routes. So I could have gone to the extreme of paying £600, but because of the money I'd already paid out, I just went for the cheaper option of the £40, and now I've qualified, I'm into it. Now I'm looking further into getting a better cage. The only issue I have with this cage is that if there was an impact from behind, the cage would fold up. The reason you pay £500-600 for these cages is because they got reinforced steel in them, and if you do get hit from behind, it does give the dog a bit more protection. So in terms of lead collars and things like that, I've probably paid about £85. So I've obviously had to get, I've got a different flat collar now, not because the old one was wrong. The old one used to be kind of material and you could make it bigger and smaller, where this one now is kind of leather, and it's got like a buckle. I just feel a little bit more safer out of that, because with the one where you could adjust it by slipping it, I found that when he started pulling, it would start getting a bit bigger. And my only My only fear is that the dog would be able to then maybe back out and maybe get the collar off, and then obviously he'll be loose. But I also bought a proper slip chain, so the slip chain I had was too big, so I got a proper slip chain, and then I got 2 different leads. So I've got my black lead that I use for working, the white lead I use for training and as a backup as well. And then I bought a bite sleeve and a bite bar. So that was because of where my dog was at the time. I had to try and bring him on a little bit more, so I had to do sort of home stuff. So I went to the extreme of buying my own equipment just to do some home practice. That was what we was doing in training. Now, you don't have to do that, you can just do all your training at training, but because I wanted to make our training at home as realistic as it was when we was actually training, I went to the extent of buying that. So I paid £110 for my sleeve and £40 for my bite bar. Now I got that off of a website called 4 Dog Trainers. I believe it's an Israel based company, and they was pretty good, to be fair. I think I got both of my items within the postage date that they said, possibly a week, possibly 2 weeks. But I think they're very good. They make some really good equipment. It's the stuff that all of my trainers and trainee trainers use. So I think if you was looking at going down that route, that would maybe be a good idea to go and have a look on that website if you wanted to get your sleeves and your bite bars. They're not the cheapest, but they are good quality, and I think again with this is that if you go down the cheaper route, the reason that these are expensive is that they don't get ruined by the dogs. You can go down the cheaper route and possibly, especially with these dogs when they get into it, that they could tear it apart. So how much have I paid for my stuff? So I've got things like my body cam. So my body camera I've got from Right Wire, it's £230. That comes with a built-in SD card as well, so you literally just get the camera and it's all ready to go. It's all set up, you just charge it up and it's ready to go. I've got my LED Lenser torch, which I'm actually using to shine light on me because I'm obviously on a night shift and I couldn't get enough light to do it without it. I paid £90 for that. The car, I'm using my family car at the moment, so obviously that hasn't gone into what I've had to put out for this job. I will at some point need to get something different, another car or another van, but for the moment I'm using this. It's a 4x4, which is helpful, so we've got plenty of room. I wouldn't do this in a smaller car, but something like an estate car or 4x4, they're pretty good for this kind of work, as long as it's good on the petrol or the diesel. So my own clothing. So before I started working for Prestige, I bought things like hats, gloves, jackets, t-shirts that I didn't mind getting dirty. I bought combat trousers. A lot of them wear like work trousers, but because I'm quite skinny, I found that I look a bit swamped and look a little bit like I'm wearing my dad's clothes. So I bought some slim fit combat trousers, things like boots, socks, personal clothing and things like that. So I've estimated that I probably paid about £220 for that. My combat trousers were about £40. I've got a couple of pairs of them. My boots were about £50-60. T-shirts I just got from like Top Man that you pay, I don't know, a tenner for, £5 for. Jacket, probably 40-50 quid. But ever since I started working for Prestige and got their clothing, I wear all their tops and that now. I still wear my combat trousers, still wear my boots, and this stuff's been pretty good. But I can't tell you how much this stuff costs. I can only go on what I brought before I started working in order to get myself into training. And then I've got small things like the first aid kit. Now obviously first aid kit is quite important on a site. If you hurt yourself then you want to have one, so I got that off Amazon for about £17. It's just your standard one, it doesn't need to have anything special in it. What I do have in there is some Hibby scrub, which is what you'll get from your vets, and that's what they use if a dog cuts themselves. That's what they use to kind of wash the cuts. So I've put some extras in there like Hibby scrub and things like that, but other than that the first aid kit is basically what you would find in a standard one. Then I've got the high vis tactical jacket. Again, this was off Amazon. Just says dog handler on the back. It's a tactical one, and again you can go down the route of just getting a cheap high vis. I went down the route of getting tactical ones just because that I wanted the extra pockets, I wanted a better fit, and I wanted it as an extra layer as well. Now it might not seem like it's going to make a lot of difference, but just that extra layer that's a bit thicker as well, sometimes it saves me having to wear like the big puffer jacket by just having that one on. But my main reason was that I wanted to have the tactical, so I could get my body cam on it. I've got extra pockets for my torch, for my phone, for anything else that I need. And then the other thing I bought was magnetic car stickers. So obviously it is a standard that you need to have signage on your car that you're a dog unit. So I've got a reasonably wide dog unit magnetic sticker that goes on the front, and then I've got on the back 2 dog warning signs. So really the most important place to have these is on where the dog enters and exits, and you have clear signage on where the dog's going to exit the vehicle. So obviously in my car he's going to exit out of the boot. Now if someone walked up and opened up my boot, although he's in a cage, they're going to get a bit of a fright. So I make sure that I've got good signage on the back of my car, and they cost me 30 quid. So that's not very expensive. You can get stickers, but because I'm using a family car, obviously when we go on days out and things like that, I don't need to have the dog unit stickers out. So my overall total for everything that I've just mentioned is £2,562 plus the dog. So the reason I'm not telling you about a dog, because you can go and pay, let's say, I don't know, £300 for a rescue dog and turn it into a protection dog. You could go down my route and buy one from a puppy that may cost you anywhere between £1,000 to £1,800, or you could go down what some route I've seen people do is they buy fully trained dogs already, and they can be somewhere between maybe £2,000 to £3,000, maybe even more than that depending on their training. So £2,562 plus the dog. Again, I say it's quite expensive, but when you get into it, and this is the one thing I like, is once you've bought a lot of this stuff, it's not something that you have to buy again next year or the year after. It will last you a while. So my bite sleeve and my bite bar, hopefully I could go 5-6 years without having to buy any more of them. Tactical vest, hopefully I can use this one for a good 10 years, let's say. So it's expensive when you first start, again with the torch and the body cam. If you get decent ones to start off with, hopefully you won't have to buy them again, and that's the reason I buy the better stuff, because you expect them to last longer. So I hope that answered all your questions on how much it costs to get into this industry. I hope it hasn't put you off. I think it is worthwhile, and you can earn some good money when you get into it if you're willing to put the time in. I know there are people out there that earn very good money, but they do work 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. There's some people that only do 3-4 days a week and earn an okay living, depending on how much you need to make for your bills and things like that. So, and the other things you have to keep in mind is obviously your vet bills and things like that, stuff that could crop up, but obviously that's not something that you need to worry about when you're first getting into training. I asked you at the start of the video how often you have to reapply for your SIA license, 2, 3 or 5 years. The answer is every 3 years. So every 3 years you have to pay £190 for your new SIA license, and as long as you've been a good boy or girl through that time, you'll get your SIA license straight away. Let me know down in the comments below if you're a dog handler and you think I've missed anything. This is what I can remember paying out, and going back and looking at my receipts and stuff that I have paid out for. And let me know down in the comments below if there's anything that I haven't mentioned that you would like to know about. And if you like this video as well, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more videos. But as for now, I'm going to try and battle through this snow and earn my money. Thanks for watching. See you next time.